Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Dexter New Blood series review. We need to talk about Ethan Trasnell, and I'm joined by.
I'm the wrestler, Kirklin Patzer. Look at
I
Taylor
am
in here.
the Let's Wrestle Taylor Field.
I didn't notice you were stealing my name until right at go time there.
Well, technically, usually I'm always down to give Taylor shit, but technically Taylor had it first.
The wrestle? I was in the
Yeah,
call first.
Yeah, but your name on the call was just Kirkland Patzer.
Oh,
My name on the
shit.
call.
What? It was just Kirkland Patzer at Kirkland Patzer Pod.
No, I said it before Taylor joined. Check the pre-record because I record all of the before we're live.
We don't have those. But there you go, ladies and gentlemen. We are reviewing every single episode of Dexter New Blood. You can go back. We reviewed the first two. You can go back. I reviewed every season after that, or before that, I guess I should say. Lots of good stuff popping off. We have Hawkeye starting this week. We're entering. I never thought there'd still be a few GeekVerse firsts, and there is. This is gonna be the first time ever reviewing two series like at the same time. You know, that's never happened. It's always just been one of the Disney Plus shows or like a but it's like, oh, we binge it all, we review it on a weekend. This is every Monday you're gonna get Dexter retros, and every Wednesday/Thursday you've got Hawkeye. Now Hawkeye this week, I'm going to try and watch it, but what's going to happen is we are going to review it on the Wednesday night. So it comes out Wednesday. Well, obviously it comes out at midnight, but anyways, it drops Wednesday. Usually in the past, what we do is we stay up late, we watch it, and then we're up and it's ready to go in the morning. Just because if you don't know this week, Hawkeye, they're starting with 2 episodes. So we're not, and both of them are longer. If it was 2 episodes like WandaVision, why was our color gray? I don't know. That's a good. There's a chat going on about our name thing. Why did it turn gray? Oh, on StreamYards we can pick our color. Why did we have gray?
I have no idea.
No idea.
Did you and Dylan change that for our Patreon exclusive cast going up
Maybe
later on this week? Yeah. So,
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, we have Hawkeye 2 episodes. That's why, and they're both rumored to be like 45 minutes. So that's why, okay, we're not going to stay up. We'll watch it Wednesday. Then Wednesday night it'll be there. So you're probably gonna get more Thursday for the podcast feed. We just teased Kirklin and Dylan just went. I believe you told us 2.5 hours for the video game predictions, right?
2 hours 40 minutes. That's right.
There you go. We were right, Taylor. We said, how long is this cast going to go? And then it went 2.5. So there you go. So
I thought 3 hours. You said no less than 2.5.
Yeah. I know I was screwed when we were like, I think just over an hour, and we were like just getting to the 10th nominee out of 30. It's like, oh dear, here we go. We didn't do all 30 because there's esports in there. We didn't really cover that stuff, but there you go. That's a little preview for the Patreon.
Yeah, and then if you're on Patreon right now, you can go and get that. I'm sorry I did not throw to you first, but I'm going to throw to you last. This because how we're doing it today. It's a little different of a Sunday. So yeah, you go to Patreon, you can get that right now early. You can get the Harry Potter retro, the Hobbit retro. You can get commentary tracks. You can get every episode we do ad-free and usually early too. So go over there, support us, and the more you support us, the more content you create. And this is an example of it because we were going to do Hawkeye comic book versions 1 to 11, the first 2 volumes. But what we're going to do is because just some deliberation, we're actually going to read the entire series because it's only 22 issues and everyone's enjoying it so far. Taylor's loving Naked Hawkeye. So we are going to read all 22 issues, bro. So that'll be out next week. That'll be out early on Patreon. Look out for that. I don't know if I'll review it. Because I was about to pimp House of Gucci, but I'll mention on newscast. Me and Taylor do news this week. We'll have the GV3 newscast later on. Lots of good stuff happening. Taylor with his Chucky reviews, and Taylor, when we push out all this stuff like our Manscaped code, which we are proud to be with for the entire year now. Next week we actually have something new to promote, which is kind of fun. But we're with them the entire year, so we have all our links below. But Taylor, when we're promoting stuff, when people want to know what we're doing, where can they find that info?
You can find us with your internet connection in the search bar. GeekVerse.ca is our home base. GeekVerseCast is our Twitter, and GeekVerse is our Facebook. Be sure to check us out on our Facebook because there will be a community fan base Christmas poll that will be popping off. Question for you: What day is Hawkeye premiering this week?
Wednesday.
On the Wednesday. Okay, cool. And is it always Wednesdays now, or
yeah? All the D Plus shows are Wednesdays. Yeah.
So then we put the review up on the Thursday. Like we review it after the show, but then it's like public on Thursdays. Is that how it works?
No. We're so confused. So this, in regular time, it still drops Tuesday at midnight for us. and then usually we would review it,
Oh,
and then it's
I
but technically
see.
that's still Wednesday when it comes out. Most people don't stay up and watch it, so yes, Wednesday is when that happens.
I see. Okay, cool.
There we
It's
go.
gonna have
We
some
figured it out.
competition. Got to figure out the checking thing.
Yeah, we're gonna have to talk about that. And then yeah, let's start talking about Dexter. Today, Phil, what do you feel about Dexter season or whatever season 9, episode 3, New Blood? Obviously, last week we learned lots of stuff with Harrison. What do you think about this week?
Oh, I mean, it was cool to see resolution. When I say resolution, like it's still very open ended, but resolution in certain small miniature
They
arcs
figured
that
it.
they created.
They ghost ended it. They're like, actually, there wasn't 10 episodes, just
Yeah.
3.
It's a shadow end, not a shadow
Yeah,
drop.
yeah. We just want him to
But-
be happy.
But yeah, I'm glad that we got to see kind of some more results as to some mysterious things that are happening. And that being said, I feel like there was a couple little setups, and I really do feel more grounded in my roots of what I'm believing in
What?
in terms of things. I really
I
am.
feel like this
more
episode did the
so.
exact opposite. That showed more that me and Kirklin are right about this certain big badass. Is that what you're talking
No,
about?
I don't know. Like, it could be, but like, are they just like purposely trying to screw like people over? We'll get into that in spoilers. We'll get into that in spoilers. But no, I think it's great. It's cool. We got a lot more development with Harrison, and I'm excited to talk about some stuff that went down there. Yeah, it was good.
It was
I'll
good.
go. Yeah, I'll go because I'm not sure Kirkland is. I like this episode, but I think it's probably my least favorite. But that's a good thing as far as like in the past, I've had least favorite episodes of Dexter, and they've been like all timers. This one is just because I think Taylor nailed on the head when it is about resolution. I think this was about closing one chapter of the story that I don't know if it necessarily needed the whole episode, but I get why it did. It started to set some other things up. Like episode 2 was some setup, but we got so much answers with Dexter and Harrison. I think for me, it's like a minor spoiler, but I think Dexter and Harrison don't spend too much time together this episode, so we learn more about Harrison, but I still, that's the dynamic I'm still most intrigued about. I still want them to be talking about stuff, but I think everything I want answered is going to get happen. I'm just being selfish and greedy and, want all now. But yeah, I think it was a solid episode. I don't think it's one that stuck with me like later on down the series. Nothing bad. I think there's some really great comedic moments in this episode. There's like a multiple moments I was laughing out loud. And yeah, so I think it was an episode that was needed. It left us in an intriguing place. So I think it's... I think next week's going to be strong, though, because I feel like it's, like I said, they closed the door on one part, and then they started to creep the door in on another one. So, Kirkland, where were you on episode 3?
Yeah, I think this is definitely my favorite episode actually out of the bunch.
Whoa.
Yeah, I really really love this episode. I found it entertaining throughout. I thought there was a lot of great character stuff. As Travis mentioned, like Harrison and Dexter weren't together for a lot of this episode, but I think that helped it a lot. You got to see them just interacting with different people, specifically Harrison, I guess. And yeah, no, the comedic moments, I definitely was laughing out loud. I think there was some moments of like impending doom that was rather intense. I'll shout out the specific ones in spoilers, but I think it just had it all. Honestly, I like this red herring, I'm gonna call him, that keeps appearing. We'll get into that in spoilers section. Maybe Taylor will disagree with me on that, but but all in all, I thought it was great. Something I don't know if I shouted out on the previous episodes, but I thought like the music was really really good in this. There was a couple
Yes.
moments when it got like rather intense and it had this creepy music. I think even the first shot with Dexter, it had this really, I don't know, like eerie music that was going with Dexter, and I thought it just fit the moment so well.
I thought the same thing more than any episode so far. The score was really, really good.
Yeah.
And they actually had some really good songs in there, too, like licensed music, but like the score really stood out. So I was like, okay, yeah, I dig this.
Yeah, and just all in all, I I love this episode. It's interesting because as you guys were saying, it's like sort of a resolution to a certain part of the story that I definitely agree with. Pretty much how the episode ended, but I thought it introduced quite a few factors as well that I'm excited to dive into because they just they open up a whole new can of worms, which like Travis is hinting in his name. We got to talk about Ethan. I'm excited to talk about that because I just wasn't expecting that. And when it went that route, it was like, ooh, okay, here we go. This is going to lead to something. And yeah, all in all, I thought it was a really good episode.
Yeah. Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. So we are about to get into spoilers. So if you've not seen episode 3, come back and we'll do our thing. We'll be here waiting for you, just like our Manscaped pod, GV pod. 20% off. Free world shipping. Free world shipping. Free worldwide shipping. Kirklin got shirt. Let's take our ad break and then we'll be right back. And we're back. So I got to jump right into, I know we want to talk about Ethan, but I got to jump into the villain thing, the big bad thing. Because I thought for sure when I was watching this, I'm like, okay, Taylor will finally realize he's wrong. And he will understand that Clancy Brown is one of the big bads. And you're still...
Why are
not
they
thinking...
still hiding him? If they're they would have shown.
I thought they were going to show him. See,
I'm
and
not getting it.
that was the thing I was pitching with like the red herring type character when the billionaire showed up to help out what's her face. And again, he's being really creepy towards her. He was being really creepy towards her when they were like protesting him outside the bar or whatever it was. He brought out coffee and she like dumped it out. And he's just been really weird like with that character throughout it.
Stay
and
safe.
I feel like it's trying to make us buy into that he's the killer, but I'm not buying it. Taylor is.
But why would they do? Why would they do like the deviation and just go the other route? I feel like that's just such a lousy, lazy thing to do. I feel like them just setting it up and as it is should be just the way they should do it. I feel like
That's
if
what a
it
red
is the other
herring
guy,
is, though. It's trying to make
yeah, but I
you
feel like
think.
it's a lazy red herring, though.
Well, it is when you have like such identifiable eyebrows that Clancy Brown
Yeah.
has that you don't agree with. On,
The eyebrows look so different. They look like the other guys in this episode.
Taylor, you need to say it side by side. Like Clancy Brown's eyebrows are like straggly and stuff. Like
Yeah.
the guy with
Like,
the
this
mask.
guy's weren't. When he put the mask on, they weren't straggly. They were like
They were
rich
colored.
guy.
They
like,
gelled them
yeah.
down.
Oh yeah,
He trims before. Yeah,
but
no,
he was
I-
drunk though, wasn't he? Like he was
Well,
drunk, so he couldn't be.
That
out
would've been
shooting-
afterwards,
shooting
right?
Girls.
Yeah, that's
That
why
was
he
after
so
that scene.
happy. Yeah, yeah. I don't know because I think it's like we talked about. There could be a combination of. I think they are both shady in their own way. I wonder if Kurt's gonna be Dexter's big bad, and the billionaire might end up being like Harrison's big bad, like Harrison's problem to deal
Oh,
with. 'Cause
yeah.
it's tied to
Could see
Audrey,
that.
so you could just have like two shit people. So yeah, I don't know. Like so this episode did. Which, like I said, I think Taylor had a good point as far as now we don't have to worry about Matt's body. Now, I have some questions. I don't know where, what is that where he burned him? Like, where did he dispose that body?
It's the corpse disposal. You know, like you
Burning
played Death
garbage.
Stranding.
So, So, he thinks that nobody is going to ever check this. I feel like out of all the options they talk about, the lake, even I know there was a bear in that hole, but it's still like, if you can go when that bear's sleeping, you can get that body in that hole and we're good to go. And I will say thank you to the show for not making that bear chase Dexter because I was very
Oh my
worried.
god,
'cause like
I was
said,
expecting it.
the bear was not the great. The animal's CGI has not been great. So I was like, please don't chase him. And he didn't. So I'm thankful for that. But like, I feel like this is the worst option because I feel like once they get some evidence of, okay, Matt is dead. I know we're going to talk about Kurt and stuff, but let's say they figure out he is dead. They're going to start looking at, okay, where could the body be? I feel like this burnery is going to be like a top thing. And I don't know.
I think
like,
that would have incinerated the body because it's like a crematorium, but times 10. Right?
Yeah.
It's for like heavy.
They
duty
could check for the
garbage and shit.
DNA, but if the body's been just technically cremated, there would be no physical evidence whatsoever that ties it to Dexter in any way, shape, or form.
And I think the other thing I didn't like in this episode was I don't mind it. They reveal that there's cameras in the woods. So okay, so they got these infrared cameras and everything like that. But then later on when he goes back to the woods, he's running around like a motherfucker with no mask. And even with the incinerator, I just feel like I'm happy that Matt's body got dealt with, but I feel like for me that was almost too easy of like, oh, well, I have a place where I can just burn his body and there's no one here to check it. There's no one that's going to ask me what I'm burning. I just show up, burn it, and all my problems are gone. Because then in that case, I'm like, why did we take so long to figure this out? I know he says I'm rusty, so I thought
He
it was
should have
little...
just told Matt that he hit him out because he's pissed that he almost got shot. He could have done so many different things, but he's rusty, right?
You could have told Matt what?
Oh,
But,
instead
like,
of killing Matt?
Yeah, instead of killing Matt, he could have like told him like, "Hey, I knocked you out because you almost shot me." Like he could have.
No,
played
but he
so many
wanted to
different
kill
cards.
him. He wanted to kill
Oh,
him.
yeah.
So
yeah,
like,
he wanted to.
yeah, but that's what I mean. It's the body. I don't know. I feel like I said I'm happy Matt's gone, but I feel like getting rid of the body was almost too easy now out of all the options.
Oh,
we were-
100%.
For a whole episode of like, what am I gonna do? Oh, I'll just drive down to our local incinerator. Okay.
Like right down the road, I know. I was kind of eye rolling in that moment too. I'm like, well, of course he's just got a body disposal, and my mind just went to like Death Stranding, just take into a corpse there, burn it.
Did you
And
guys
the
like
Bob's
Deb's
uncle.
solution?
It's so good.
Oh, so good. I was laughing out loud at that moment for sure. And especially like she was acting so animated too. Like
Yeah.
as like the vision. Like it was just so great.
She literally put like her like leg up like she was in love, like when she was
Yeah.
like burning the body or like crushing the bodies. Like it was great because we got that one moment of them in the bathroom where she like put the gun up against him, was threatening him. But then after that, she was for the first time in the series like a very comedic version of Deb, which was fun because like that was kind of some tributing back to the old school. And like I like when they're talking about, like what you're gonna do with the body and everything like that. And yeah, when they just smash cut to her just putting the body through a wood chipper, the blood is like spraying these students walking by and everything, and that was really fun. But so Taylor, you were fine with how he got rid of the body because I feel like if he starts killing people, they're gonna be like, man, Jim's showing up to the incinerator a lot these days. Like before, he never used to, and now he's here every weekend. You know, like did that work for you?
Oh, I think it worked for me. I mean, it just makes sense. It's a great way to dispose, and like we don't know obviously the background story as to him learning of this location, figuring out. So I'm assuming he would, if he's living in this town with no intention to kill, then he wouldn't have had any kind of idea to use that place or really fully be aware of it. So when I think that's represented when he's searching for places to hide a body, and he tells Deb like he fumbles his words a little bit, and Deb mistakes it for he's gonna kill again. He's looking for the long-term place to dispose bodies, but I just think that the fireplace was a good choice, that he didn't know it was there initially because he had to go scout out places.
That moment that you mentioned with Deb, like saying like, "What the fuck does that mean?" Right? Like, are you gonna be killing again? I love that moment so much because one, it's kind of hinting towards is Dexter really there or really done, or is he gonna keep killing now that he like found out possible he's got an incinerator right down the road, so we know he's got access to a corpse disposal thing. But also you got to remember that that's all Dexter's thoughts talking to himself, right? Like it's like Deb's not actually there, so like her like basically asking him the question when it's really him asking himself that question, like like are you going to be doing this more? I don't know. I just think those moments were really special, and it just is that much better when you have Deb delivering those lines. And I love the range of emotion that Deb was showing in this episode because we've already mentioned she was really comedic. She literally had him like pinned against the window, like just threatening him, and then also was really helpful. And I just love the range that we're seeing with her. Because I don't know, I think coming into the series, I was a little worried at like the Deb usage, but I think from episode 1 they've showed how they're using her, and even just as more episodes come out, we're seeing just more that's like better, and I'm loving it. So
And it's very different than Harry too. It's not Harry wasn't
Yeah.
dancing around like tripping up bodies and stuff like that, right? He's very
No.
serious, very fatherly figure. But this kind of taps into like, yeah, Deb did have like a fun-loving side, and she was like a funny character at times. So it ties in that, like, again, that wouldn't be her idea in real life, but
yeah,
it is fun though when they talk about like, oh, so you can keep doing this. He goes, no, just of course like a long-term thing. But then the next time that conversation comes up, again, as I always point out, Dexter, much like Walter White, very hypocritical character. You know, and he picks up Kurt. He's like, oh, you know, the problem was that I killed, or was the problem was that I wasn't killing. You know, it's just like already he's thinking about like, well, what if I like, would my life be better? Like he spent the whole episode and literally 5 minutes probably before they had this dinner scene of him with Audrey and his son. I always forget the bishop's real name. What is her first name? Allison, or his girlfriend? What is it?
Angela.
Chief Angela. Thank you.
Angela.
So. All right, Taylor's excited. So they're having dinner, and he's just like, I can't lose this. This is all I want. I can't let this happen again. And even before, when he was driving Harrison, you know, he says dad. And he's like, that's my favorite word. But then cut to 5 minutes later, he's like, oh, maybe me not killing people was the problem. So he's pretty much insinuating like, oh, my life would be better if I could kill people. So he spent this whole episode trying to get rid of the body because he's rusty, swearing he doesn't want to do this again, talking about all the problems it leads to. But then already at the end of the episode, he's like, well, you know, I could do it. Maybe that was the issue. It's just like, oh, he's, again, that's why I want him to die or get arrested, because I think he's a doomed character. If he did truly get away with it, already, because he picks up Kurt, which that's how we started on this conversation. He picks up Kurt, and clearly they're leaving the breadcrumbs of, Taylor may disagree, but when he's like, why would he lie about his son being alive? Insinuating that this guy is shady, he's up to something, and Dexter's gonna get intrigued, and he's gonna start looking into Kurt and be like, why is he doing this? So again, it's just he can't help himself. No matter what happens, he did this one kill. That's why for 10 years it was best to stick to his routine, because he steps off once and like an addict, he's going to be back to where he was. He figured out all his problems. He should just leave Kurt alone, not even look at it. But now he's like, oh, maybe.
And like even when he was looking for a hiding spot for the body, he's just like, "Oh, I miss this," like just isolation, and you're just again getting him back into his original Dexter routine from like the original show, and it's fun, those moments, and I'm glad that they're emphasizing him like realizing like, oh, like it feels good to be back. I'm loving this, and then it must just be a thrill having those cops there, just like knowing that he's the one that has the body there, and just like all the perils that come with it. Like just getting close to being caught. It's probably just like an addiction as much as the killings and everything, right?
Deb said that, remember, last episode when she's like, I can't remember the word she used. She called him like smug or something. Like he was just so happy he was getting away with it and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's the like, I don't know what's going to lead him to kill again, but it's definitely going to be something tied to Kirk. But then what do you think? Kirk, not Kurt, remember, not his brother's coming in later on.
Are you asking me?
yeah. Taylor, what do you think as far as it seems like Dexter may be, it's we kind of assume we got still 7 episodes left, so we know he's not done killing, but at least in this, like, where we are trajectory with the character, that he's already considering of maybe doing this one more time.
Yeah, I mean, he's gonna kill again. I mean, I think it'll definitely happen in this final season. I mean, it's not gonna be the one and done thing. Whether or not, I'm curious if Harrison's gonna catch him though, or how that's gonna go, because I'm wondering if they're gonna like identify some kind of similarities there, and that was even something that kind of like was put out by Harrison this episode, and I wasn't expecting that.
Well, let's
Were you expecting titties in this episode, Taylor? Because I wasn't.
No, I wasn't. I was not at all.
Well, let's talk about Kurt, and then we'll talk about Harrison. Ian, so Taylor, why do you think Kurt is lying about his son being alive? He FaceTimed him.
I think he was just drunk. Like,
really?
He got drunk and then he just thought it happened. Unless,
big Kurt defender here.
yeah, I just, yeah,
It's really gonna go bad for you. I trust you.
We're in court. I'm his lawyer, and he confided in me. I'm like, Kurt, we're gonna vindicate you here. Let's go. He was drinking in the bar, and he was imagining it. I'm running with it. I'm not gonna stop. He got so drunk.
Okay, so that's what you think. You still think Kurt's just a good guy. He's misunderstood. He's missing his son. He just got drunk. So you think next episode when Dexter/Jim will talk to him, be like, yeah, my son is still gone.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Kirklin, I feel like you disagree with this statement.
Yeah, I disagree. I don't know. I feel like there was moments where, like in this episode, I was trying to second guess like the whole Kurt thing.
What does Taylor see in him?
And I don't know, like maybe the fact that we didn't see him was leaning that route, but it any suspicions I had kind of just got disproven when like at the end there, because I'm just very sus on him now. He's lying. I was honestly expecting him to like confront Dexter there, like I also had cameras in the woods or something like that. I don't know. And
you are Dexter Morgan.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident that Kurt's the one just chopping up these girls. But I liked what Travis pitched earlier, how like that'll be Dexter's big bad, and then Harrison will have his own big bad in the form of the billionaire. Because again, he's someone that's really sus. I'm not saying he's innocent. I just don't think he's the same killer that Taylor thinks he is. And quickly mention one last thing on the cameras, because I forgot to mention that when we were talking about them. I think if they don't like reference those cameras again in this episode, or just in the series, like in a later episode of him literally running around in the woods with his jacket, like brushing it in the snow.
Oh, that.
I think this episode will be brought down for me, because like he literally just found out that the cameras are there, and then he's like just dancing whimsically through the woods with this jacket.
It's tough because that's what Emily and I were talking about, that because I think they have that character say, oh, there's blind spots. So I think what we're supposed to insinuate that Dexter, like, okay, like,
why don't you just have him say that in the episode? Yeah.
Like, I think what they're trying to go with is that he is doing all that running around in the blind spots. But for me, unless we had a scene where he physically found where all blind spots are, the fact that he would risk that and go up, like, he for the first time just learned that there was cameras out there forever. Like for the first time ever, he had no idea these cameras existed. Just because there's one blind spot where he was standing, what if there's cameras all over? And fine, at least put on a fucking ski mask. He's out there as Jim Lindsay, just running around, like and like even there's one moment where he's running with a jacket, and you can see like vehicle lights flashing, like he is close to the road. And my hope is though that all this stuff leads to, like we almost talked about with Joe with you, that him being Rusty leads to his demise. When in all the other seasons of Dexter, when he says, let's say they have 10 things, right? And they say, these are the reasons we're suspicious of you. All the other seasons, he'd have an answer for it all, or a plan for it all, or be like, oh, LaGuerta tried to frame me. I actually wasn't bad. You know, all this stuff, or Dokes is crazy. My hope is, if, like I said, I want him to be captured. I don't want him to die. I think I very much like with Joe. I want a trial. I want the world to know what these fuckers did, good or bad. But I think that they're going to pin him down. And even if it's a scene with Angela, of her asking all these questions, and eventually, because even already in that interrogation scene, his answers were fucking whimsy of like, oh, I like to hike with a gun. Oh, well, for protection, you know? It's just like, his answers weren't that smooth to begin with. And that's
he seems so sus. He seems so sus.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I feel like that cop, when you were talking about you didn't get Dokes vibe from there, you might get it eventually, because he feel like he didn't buy it, in my opinion. Well, like 100%.
And that was one of my favorite scenes in this episode was like Dexter felt like not the man in charge that he used to be, you know, like you were just mentioning, Travis, like he used to have an answer for everything, where I thought multiple times this cop like got him in a couple of questions. Like he was really nervous, like, oh, I gotta go back to the shop, like, I'm sorry. Like it's just super weird. And I got into my head to this cop because I thought he did such a good job at actually interviewing him, whereas before I thought it was gonna be just like really friendly, like, oh yeah, I know who you are, Jim, like this will be good. And there's a couple times he just stumped him, and even like whether it was asking him how many times he saw Matt, and then he already knew. There was one when he said like, oh, when you're hunting in the woods, oh sorry, I meant hiking. Like obviously it's an interrogation tactic. I thought he was just playing that really, really well, and that's something I wasn't expecting from these just local cops or whatever that we're getting in Iron Lake.
I think on top of that, what really rattled Dexter too was that other forensics guy that came in and was just like spot on. Like he was clumsy when he dropped his case and everything, but like
like twice.
Twice. He was like spot on though with what he was doing, especially to get kudos from Dexter. So I think all of those events just really set him back for that interview, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, the forensic thing I love, because just like how he was like fanboying when he showed up, like, oh, I really want to help you, and so like, oh, what, like, oh, I'm just a fan of CSI shows. But it's just like it's him again. It's that thing of like, you can see that he pushed his old life away because he thought that's what's best, but not really because that's what he wanted. Because you can tell, like, there was a gleam in his eye. He missed that whole, like, the crime scene, the blood. And the guy that was going full, like, Dexter mode of, like, explaining every single thing that happened, just like he would in the show. Like, there was a struggle. He went there. He fell on what should have been a rock. And he's like, damn it. Like, you know, like, it was great that he wasn't just a bumbling guy. And I think it showed Dexter that, okay, again, you can't be so just rookie material with this, you know, like it will catch up to you eventually. But the problem is it didn't show that. He had the complete opposite reaction of like, well, what if I could keep doing this? You know, it's just like, and again, he didn't exactly say that, but for him to even question of like, what if me killing wasn't the problem, or what if me not killing was the problem? It's like, well, it's in his mind. I feel like even next episode we could get that realization that he wants to kill again, and he'll feel like he's more prepared this time. But yeah, that interrogation, which is good, because I feel like he was talking to Harrison about wrestling and stuff like that. It's gonna be the reverse as far as like, if he does suspect Dexter, I feel like he's gonna just play up the nice guy thing. He's not going to be like a bull in a china shop like Dokes was, you know, like, and Angela, it's like the same thing. Like, I think Angela's a smart character, but she's at a disadvantage like Deb is, because she's so close to Dexter, right? So he can twist her, he can manipulate her, all these things. Where this guy, he's not sleeping with Dexter, he's not having dinner with him all the time. Like, they're friendly enough, but they're not like lovers or in a relationship having dinner together. So whatever she might be the last resort as far as like, no, I know Jim, he couldn't do this, he might be like, are you sure? I think there'll be a little bit more. I don't think there's enough right now for him to go off and be like, hey, you are a killer and stuff, especially because I feel like at least for a few weeks, Kurt's lie is going to spread throughout the town that Matt is okay. And like, because I didn't talk about it, I agree with Kirkland. I don't think he's just drunk. I think he's saying that to almost get like the cops away or off of him because he can't do whatever he's going to be doing with these girls or elsewhere. If the cops are on him, or like just talking to him, always checking up to it, he can't do that. And I think Kurt knows that his son's dead. I think that's the biggest thing where it's just I think he was waiting for that blood sample, and the second that came back as positive, he knew, especially for me and Kirkland, who think he's a guy that's doing other bad shit, he knows the logistics of, okay, if they found that blood and they haven't found these amount of days, he's done. He's gone. I just have to accept that he's dead. So that's why I feel like he went drinking. He got fucking drunk because he's like, my son's dead. This is depressing, but I'm going to tell the town just to even buy him some time. Like, I don't know what the end game is. We're going to find out. Like, also, we got that scene of him, like, it was that girl he was draining the blood of, right? Or like whoever was draining the blood. So it's like, why are they doing this if it's easier to transport? To GeekVerse podcast looking to show his honor.
You mentioned that in showing Kurt's true quality. You mentioned that he's trying to get the cops off of him so he can keep doing what he's doing. But why would he insist the cops stay on the case when he showed up, having them like look around and everything?
Because I think that's when he still thought Kurt or his son was alive. So I think if he thinks his son's dead, he's like, there's no point. Like, let's just stop the manhunt and stop the cops being around me in the future if they're not going to find anything. Or maybe he wants to find the person himself and he doesn't want to have the cops take care of it if he thinks someone killed his son. Because I think what he's thinking is he thinks it's people on the reservation, right? He's thinking it's people that saw him kill the buck and then took matters in his own hands and killed Matt. So I think in Kurt's world, who in our narrative is killing these women, he doesn't want, okay, the cops are going to find out who killed my son and arrest him. He's going to find out who killed his son and he's just going to kill them or do bad shit to them. So that's another reason. I don't know his complete motive, but I feel like him lying about his son is for something devious, revenge. Even like I said, if he's transporting these girls or something like that, I'm sure he doesn't want Angela coming to his house every week to check up on him about his son or something like that, right? So,
yeah, absolutely. It'll be interesting to see, assuming that Kurt is this weird masked murderer man, masked murderer man. Alliteration there, because his targets usually fit this like similar age of these girls, right? And then I don't know. Could you see him like coming after some dude or something? I feel like he kind of has his taste for his victims. If he's, I don't know, like just assuming that Kurt is aware that Matt was murdered by someone who is he just gonna start like grabbing people and like asking these questions on his own, trying to figure out his own case here, or?
Well, and that's where maybe it comes into when we talked about last week. If him and that billionaire are linked, then there's a way for him to use his resources or something like that. But that's what's going to be interesting because, again, we just found out about these cameras in the woods, so who knows what else could be around and stuff. But that's what I don't exactly have an answer for because I am like Dexter at the end. Like, why is he saying his son's alive? There's lots of doors, which is a fun thing to have because it didn't end on like a huge like boob moment, but that's something that it's going to set us up for literally the rest of the season because I think Kurt will be a big bad. And again, like they're kind of having their cake and eating it too, where it's like he would have been a justifiable big bad if his son went missing, but I think he'll also be like a killer, so we won't feel bad that Dexter has to take him out because he's taking these young girls and stuff like that. And I'm sure Audrey has a very good chance of being taken at some point, whether it's accidentally or by the billionaire giving the message and saying, hey, could you take care of this person for me? Because I feel like she's already shown like she got back in that billionaire's face. She was gonna take the buck without her mom's permission and stuff like that. So I think she's gonna do something else to this billionaire to piss him off eventually.
Oh, absolutely.
Let's talk about Ethan. So I
do it after an ad break, maybe.
Let's do that after an ad break right now. And we're back. Man, I take one newscast off and I'm rusty. That's already trying to replace me.
Good, you're lucky I'm fresh today. I was on point with those.
It's like watching Dexter and the new CSI guy at work here.
yeah, I'm the flumsy one.
Am I the CSI guy? The fumbling?
Let's see here. So Ethan, they do the storyline where it's Harrison's first day at school. We'll talk about some of the Harrison and Dexter and cheating stuff maybe after, but they set up that he's talking to the friends that Audrey had, and they're kind of the jocks and everything, and they reveal this prank that they're doing to him, that they are catfishing Ethan, and they're texting him all this stuff, and you should see what he shows us and everything like that. So then
you can relate to that, can't you, Travis?
Oh, not at all. I don't know what that means. I don't know. Hey, but again, I think they take it to different heights there. You know, I had a little fun with the font.
I love to. I make these drinks, these energy drinks in my basement. I'd love to give you some. Yeah, okay.
I never was asking for nude photos. I never sending nude photos, stuff like that. I don't think we've ever fully told the story. We might have to. Well, I guess we did on the trial a little bit. After we'll have to do a Gertie episode. But either way, so they're catfishing poor Ethan, and they're making it seem like Ethan is, you know, this is a potential girlfriend and whatnot, and just sending, like, as Kirklin alluded to, big old stuff going on there. Breasts. And anyway, so Harrison is going to the cafeteria the next day, and I love this moment where he has the group, Audrey in the group, and then he sees Ethan alone. He goes to sit with Ethan because I like he was on the phone. They're like, oh, he's like, that's fucked up. But the guy's like, yeah, right. But he was trying to say, like, no, what you guys are doing is fucked up. And I like that he just led with it. He's just like, you're being catfished. That guy's fucking around with you. Like, and he's like, why are you talking? He's like, so, like, pretty much just like, these guys deserve to be knocked down a peg. And then, which I don't think is like the greatest comeback, but that's fine. Ethan like photoshopped some video images of like jock like having sex with a donkey or something. Like I don't know. It was a strange comeback, but there's two big things that happened in this moment here where I didn't like the answer for it. What the jock comes up like, what's fuck's wrong with him? He's gonna go beat up Ethan, beat up Harrison, and then like Harrison just fucking throat grabs him. Very similar to what Dexter has done in the past. They say he learned it because he was in, and maybe they will retcon this. I hope they do learn it because like he was in a foster home. I kind of hope that they say Hannah taught him that shit because it would make a lot more sense of like Hannah, former serial killer, would teach him this stuff, and maybe he just doesn't say, yeah, my stepmom. But he could easily have been like, yeah, my stepmom taught me to protect myself. You know, it's a fucked up world. So I hope that they retcon that because I think Hannah teaching him that makes a lot more sense than some foster home. But then after that, we get this FaceTime message of him talking with Ethan, and he's I've never had a moment like this, but I feel like all of us have had a moment in our life where someone says, okay, here's the best example I have. So I have a moment where I don't even know if I could tell. I'm going to quickly tell the story. We were talking about this last week in the Facebook chat. I one moment was seeing a person, and then I found out that they had a boyfriend, and it was a big shock and everything like that. Eventually, that boyfriend took me to dinner to confirm all this stuff, and it was a very awkward dinner because, like, yeah, like this night we were supposed to hang out. Like, yeah, she's at my place. I'm very sorry, dude. So he finally believed me. We talked. So it was a good conversation. Went to Kelly O's, and I just had to inform, like, yeah, unfortunately, like, I didn't know she was with you, and she's been cheating on you, man. I'm really sorry. And both of us didn't talk to that girl after everything like that. So it was a good enough conversation. I'm not going to use names, but we get in the car, and he's driving me home.
He drove you home?
just wait for it. He drove me home. At this point where I lived, the girl was living about 5 blocks down with another guy after this because they had already broken up and whatnot. So we were driving, and then he pulls up. He goes, oh, yeah, this is where she's staying. And I go, yeah, I've heard. And he's like, watch this. And he had like a very loud car, like the one Kyle used to have with like a big engine. And he revved it. It was like midnight, and he was revving it very, very loud. And he was like laughing, and I was sitting there very uncomfortable, like, yeah, like this is cool. And then he just looked at me and said, like, you want to do it again? And I'm like, sure. And then he did it again, and then he dropped me off, and I never talked to that guy ever again because it was the most awkward of like, I get this is something you're into, and that Ethan gave me flashback because he was just like, yeah, you want to see some of my art? And then the art was just complete decimation of the jocks and his friends. So luckily it wasn't as bad as that, but that took me back to that moment of like, this is super uncomfortable. But the problem was, and this is where I'll throw Kirklin Pats are, Harrison did not look super uncomfortable with that. He's like, oh, you think you're the Punisher, eh? And he just like, he like was not smiling, but he wasn't disturbed by it. He wasn't turned away from it. So again, I don't know what they're going to go with, but Kirklin, what did you take from this whole Ethan experience?
Yeah, it was a really
on my story. If you have any advice,
I mean, I have a lot to say on your story. I don't think I have enough time in this Dexter.
I'll bring it next after 9.
We'll dive into that.
To it. Yeah,
there's probably some details you missed, but no, that was
100%.
quite the story. So yeah, you were talking about like Harrison just being this like white knight to Ethan, which is great. There's like a Mean Girls moment where he like walks up in the cafeteria. You know, Lindsay Lohan went with the Mean Girls. He didn't. He went with Ethan. So I liked all that stuff, and I did like that he got straight to the point, and he just seemed like, again, this like white knight type character that's gonna come in here and just help out Ethan. He's had a rough luck, seems, since like preschool or whatever the hell they started bullying him.
Yeah.
And all that was great. And then as soon as he grabbed the bully though, and was like gun ho, is just using his physicality. What did Audrey even say? It's like, that was shit straight out of UFC. I'm like, man, this is crazy. I don't know if I've seen that in UFC, but nonetheless, like right when that moment happened, I thought he was very like dark sidey, and I'm like, okay, this is where it's gonna be revealed that he is more like Dexter, where you just, I don't know, he's a little psycho-y. I feel like Ethan might be more so than Harrison. I don't know, maybe
Yes.
it'll lean into that route. Maybe it'll be like Ethan's the brains of the operations, and Harrison gets his done.
God.
Who knows? Maybe it could lead to something crazy. I was kind of laughing at that moment because I just couldn't believe what we were seeing. Like, first of all, it's like, hey, friend, I just met. Can we just FaceTime here? Like, not text, not phone. Okay, yeah, sure. And then leads to, you want to see what photos I did of them? I was like burst out laughing before I even saw the images. I kind of assumed
Yeah, they
where
were
this
gonna be
was
good.
going.
Yeah,
And
it
he's
was
just
gonna
like,
be
look at me.
rainbows.
He's just like jacked with his Punisher outfit. It was just very, very strange. And yeah, Harrison's reaction was not helping whatsoever.
No, it's concerning.
Yeah, I think it all was just crazy. I haven't fully digested what I saw, but I can see it leading some sort of route. I'm curious. I'm curious where it's going to lead to, because we've already mentioned that there's been so many doors that are open. This is another like double door that got opened with Ethan and
I
Harrison.
wasn't expecting Ethan to be a door opened at all.
No.
Not when we started this show. Watch, he's the real big bad Dexter has to take down. Fuck. He's been the one killing the girl.
He's in
That's
the
why they're on
mask,
same-
yeah.
He's in the
Oh my god.
I'm the Punisher, bitch. Oh, I would hate that so much. Oh, because what'll happen is Ethan will kill Dexter, and then Harrison has to kill Ethan to get the payback on him and stuff like that. Well, and I think like
Good
when you say
golly.
like it's a little weird as far as like I can actually believe the FaceTime, because like I think Ethan's probably not had much interaction or friends, so maybe it's just like it's not a normal thing to do, but it's like he doesn't really know how to be normal, because it seems like it sucks if it's since elementary school you've been the kid sitting alone, because she's like. I wish he kind of held Audrey to more accountable, because she's like, well, that's what happens in a small town, so you grow with it. But still, like, yeah, but fuck you. You're still part of the problem. Like, it doesn't matter. It's just like, it's like they signal him out as like, hey, you're the loner kid, and you're gonna be the loner kid your whole life. So I could like, and 100% legitimately, that's how a lot of these things happen. Go watch. We need to talk about Kevin Ezra Miller when he used to be a good actor. It sets that up, so I can buy Ethan being a weird kid. It was a strange turn, and I don't. It's one of these things that they introduce that I don't think there's a middle ground. I think we're going to talk about episodes from now and be like, oh, this is very interesting. Or it could be a blight on this season. Like, it's just a wrinkle I don't know if we needed. I don't know if we needed someone else in the town that's like having fantasies about killing people and stuff like that. But hey, maybe if Harrison is a dark sider kind of guy, he does want to kill someone. And maybe that's where Ethan's like, no, like I just draw stuff. Like I'm not actually like, I don't know. Like, I think this being introduced has high risk and high reward. I don't know which route, and I don't know how to feel about it. And I think it's something they can't just drop too. They can't just not talk about Ethan in the future now. You know?
No, exactly. I was gonna say I hope that they tackle it well and like use it in a way to just reveal more about Harrison.
Yes.
I feel like you can't just lead this with like, oh, this is how Harrison does something crazy. Because Ethan, like, come on. Like, there's got to be something with Ethan that gets
Fucking
mentioned further
Ethan.
down the line. I just can't get that line out of my head when he's like, hey, want to see what I drew? Okay.
And so, good thing it wasn't just a bunch of dicks like super bad.
I
You know?
was
But
gonna say, yeah, it could have been anything. Could have been like him
Yeah.
with just jacked or something. Him like there was even a wrestling ring, which was hilarious. God.
I would be. I don't know, kids, people listening. If everyone asks you, hey, you want to see what I drew? Be careful who you say yes to.
I feel like it could have been so easy too if Harrison was just like, "Oh, I sat with the
I
wrong
gotta
kid,"
yeah.
or maybe the right kid because now he's in his good books.
Yeah, maybe. So I don't know how Taylor's gonna feel about this, because obviously he feels some way about Kurt. So Taylor, why is Ethan a nice innocent victim so far, and not a red flag?
I mean, it depends if he's going to continue his revenge. He got that one. up and coming like attack retaliation. But if he presses his advance, then I don't know. At this point, I feel like, okay, he's still the victim. It's too early to tell. But yeah, he's got these drawings he's done and tendencies and such. But that's just been a built up, pent up mindset that's developed over since kindergarten. So I don't blame the guy for drawing these, iffy things. But it'll be interesting to see what he does in the real world in the next couple episodes, and I think that's gonna decide not his fate, but his trajectory and where he's gonna go as a character and development wise. So that'll be interesting. I'm looking forward to how it's gonna go with Harrison, because obviously Dexter's surprised, like, oh, Harrison's gonna be with you and Audrey for dinner, okay, and he goes out there and like, is he gonna come home and be like, oh, do you and Ethan want dinner, Harrison? Like, it's just gonna be serving him up food at home.
Trio
like,
killers, yeah. I love when she's like, oh yeah, but Harrison said he's coming over, and he takes the phone off, and he's like, fuck, and then he puts the phone back. That was some great like comedic acting by Michael C. Hall. But yeah, you're right. It's gonna be the next 2 episodes. How do you feel like? Because I feel like I've made my feelings pretty known that I really don't want Harrison to be like. I don't want a dark pasture. I don't want him to be a killer. I don't want some like a potential spinoff. I really just want him to be a normal guy. And I feel like last episode they were doing that exact setup of he's sociable, he can talk to people, he like is good with animals. Like I feel like they did everything to set up like he's not a Dexter type of, could have that rough upbringing, could be a killer. So this episode, him not like I'm hoping he didn't react because he just thought nothing of it, like, oh, this is just Ethan drawing some stuff. It's like I'm in the camp where I don't want Harrison to have a dark pasture killer. Where are you, Taylor, as far as like how are you if that is a route we go in this show? If he is like, oh, I do have Hannah didn't die of cancer, I took her out, like I don't want anything like that. But I mean, like how do you think you would feel if he is a Dexter 2.0 in that sense?
I'd be okay with it because I think it's a clear sign of what they want to do for season a new season, a new show kind of thing. I think that he's definitely in the cards for being a new continuation. So him having something like a dark passenger, I'm kind of all for it. I'd be down to see how it goes because I like the turnaround. I like the twist of him just taking control of that scene, and it worked well with him because he really dominated and took control. So him being a killer would be very intriguing. But I still got questions. I'm curious. Okay, in this point of view, he knows that he's got a little bit of anger and he's sticking up for the little guy. Maybe he thinks of himself as more of like a vigilante because like he could have really hurt that guy, but he stopped himself and he chose not to. Whereas the difference between him and Dexter just flat out just knocked Matt out and killed him. So you have a guy like a teenager like
public,
Harrison.
Though.
True, it's in public. It's in public,
moment.
but
yeah.
Dexter's made mistakes in public before and such. So I feel like I can't like pinpoint. You would know better than I would, but I'm pretty confident he's made a mistake. So Harrison,
he's made a few, but I don't know if he's ever choked. Like he threw a guy's phone once. He did kill a man in public, but it was in self-defense. So I don't know if that count. I think because that's the guy that killed his sister. So like there's been things, but I don't know if anything as outright as that when he was that young too and stuff like that. But the other thing is what's going to happen is him joining wrestling is a very bad idea, and he's going to fuck one of those kids up in wrestling.
Oh,
and he's gonna get in
100%.
trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Dexter's going to get called to school, and that's going to be and maybe that will be the start of like, oh, he does have something. But where are you, Kirklin, on Harris? Oh, go ahead, yeah.
It's funny because even like hinted to the bullies, right? Like round 2's on the wrestling mat.
Saying, oh, you don't want to do that.
Yeah, and like, what was the one line that the sergeant dropped? I laughed so hard when he said it right away because it was like a tongue twister. I didn't even hear him.
You want
I
to
was
look
like,
at what I drew?
no, it was like,
It's him and Ethan.
oh god, it was real men are made on the mat, and he said it like so fast when he was like, just talking to Harrison about joint wrestling. I had to like rewind and put on subtitles. I'm like, what was that? What did he say there? And no, great moment. But yeah, he's gonna fuck one of those kids up, and everything you said. And Travis, you were mentioning how you don't want Harrison to go the route of being like a darker character. I definitely think we're going there, so maybe just like mentally prepare yourself.
I am. Once we had him like, oh, you're the Punisher, I was like, fuck. I was hoping he was gonna take that moment was gonna be like, oh shit, like something's wrong with Ethan. So then when he does catch Dexter, we would have established, oh, he might turn his dad in because he thinks
Yeah.
this is fucking, fucked up. But
Well-
again, who knows what Hannah also told him, because Hannah was a killer too, right? So we don't know.
Totally. No, yeah, I'm waiting for like a big Dexter Harrison moment. I think they're carefully like placing certain characters together, whether it's Harrison, Audrey. They now have I forget the sergeant's name, Sergeant Logan maybe.
There's Logan, yep.
Yeah, so Sergeant Logan, who again was interrogating Jim Lindsay, Dexter. He was interviewing him well. I don't want to say that makes him suspicious, but I still think he's a suspect no matter what happens. And now you have Sergeant Logan, who's going to be interacting with Harrison on like different times. So I just think they have a lot of players that are interacting with each other that isn't Dexter, that makes it really interesting. Because I think there is going to be a really big moment with Harrison and Dexter, and it could possibly be the biggest moment in the series. I'm speculating whether it's going to be like really close to the end of the show. Like, I don't know, maybe the penultimate episode is like when Harrison kind of figures out about Dexter or something like that.
I hope it's sooner.
You think it's sooner, or you hope?
Well, because if we do penultimate, then it's like then you just have the finale to deal with it. And
Yeah, I know.
If it's the last season, I feel like if we have 10 episodes, I'm hoping maybe 6, because then you get like 7, 8, 9, 10. You gotta get 4 to 3 episodes to play with it. So, what I thought was still gonna happen, it's the countdown to Trinity. But I thought we might get Trinity this episode. It's different because Harrison and Dexter were so separated. I love when Harrison's like, "Hey, I took the test again and did even better," and, and Dexter's like, "Congrats," and then he just like closed the door on him.
Oh
like,
yeah, so distant from him.
Yeah, like, and obviously at the end of the episode, they established like he's gonna try and be better and more for him there, and he got rid of Matt. Again, he's already thinking about killing, so it's like, well, no, you're gonna fuck this up again. Like, you're just you piece of shit. Like, you just said you're gonna be closer for this kid, and already you're thinking about not being there for him. So it's interesting, but I hope it is like 5, 6, 7 the latest. I want episode 7 the latest, but I think that could be tied to if he has dark tendencies. Whenever that does start to be a conversation or he has a suspicion, I imagine that's when we'll get our Trinity cameo, because I feel like he's gonna blame Trinity, right? Because the whole killing in the bathtub and stuff. So like, because I thought it would come, because I felt each episode so far they've had like a really big moment. They've still had big moments in this one, but like they've had one like the oh shit. So I'm interested, and especially because last week they brought up the mom, but they didn't, they brought up Rita, but they didn't continue on that. I don't think they're not going to. I think it's going to happen. I just thought, because he had that thought bubble about last week, maybe this week is when he asked Dexter, but maybe it's next week now that it's a bit more quiet and there's not a bunch of cops around.
Yeah, I'm curious if they go the route of, let's just assume there's going to be some wrestling in the next episode. Harrison takes it a little too far, gets a little too rough, and then Dexter gets called there, and then is that where he has like a one-on-one with his son? Like I have my dark moments too, and then it just plants some seeds to some sort of comparison to their personalities and stuff like this. I'm just very curious the way that they tackle this moment, because it's gonna happen at some point in the series. I just don't know when.
Well, what if it's the reverse? Because I can't remember. I think it was Taylor who pitched it, who said, like, what if Harrison catches Dexter? What if it's the other way around? What if Dexter catches Harrison doing something, and that's how that conversation can kind of go?
Because I feel taped up to the plank thing.
Maybe not exactly. Maybe he just catches him and Ethan doing some weird shit, and he's just like, they gotta have a conversation
about
see
our
it.
pictures
together. Yeah.
But yeah. Want to see our pictures, Daddy? But like, no, like there's a way of like he would say like, oh, this is how you cover up. This is how. Again, I don't really want that, because we've had that before in the show of him taking on an apprentice. I hope it's just the son stuff. I am preparing myself, and hopefully it's done well, and I'll go with it if it is. But I feel like if he catches Dexter, they gotta be careful how they do it, because that was the big thing with Deborah catching Dexter, right? Like, guy strapped to the table, walks in on him. So I don't know how they would do it. I thought Matt being on the property was maybe the way they were going to do it, was he would have discovered something that way. But obviously Matt is now a bunch of ashes that just went throughout the city, which is kind of morbid. I thought there might be some sort of DNA thing, but like Emily said the same thing to you guys, like, no, it wouldn't be. I just thought, isn't that just risky? Just like flakes of Matt going around Iron Lake? But I guess not. I guess it's just going to brush away at the snow and everything. So R.I.P. a piece of shit, Matt. Anything else on Harrison or Audrey or their drive? I like the Buffalo scene. I like the whole like again talking about human connection and stuff like that. Like morbidly gave him the idea of burning Matt. I really like that moment where he like took one last look at the buck, you know, like because it did like mean something.
You
to
said
him.
buffalo and it threw me off. I was
Did I say buffalo? Yeah,
Yeah.
you missed that
Buffalo.
part. Yeah. That was the end credit. It was Dexter versus Buffalo this time. Every episode needs
First
a
a
fucking
bear.
CGI animal.
Yeah.
Did you guys like that scene where he was picking up Kurt and then he's like, "Oh, the ash is falling." It's probably as close as Matt and Kurt have been like ever. I'm like, I laugh, but it's so morbid.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, it's that dark humor, right? No, I love the moment with the buck. I thought that was really, really touching, and like just the comparisons of seeing the way that Matt is being put to rest and this buck is, and the fact that Matt like illegally killed this animal. It's like very majestic animal in such like a brutal manner in like a situation that shouldn't have even been possible. I found the what am I trying to say? The similarities or the comparison of the two just really, really, really good. And like because it's literally like you have the buck being burned or buried, and then you have Matt being burned like the next scene. Like it's almost as if they're having like funerals at the exact same time in completely
yeah.
different situations.
It's like
was
Anakin and
amazing.
Padme both going through surgery at the same time. in Revenge of the
Yeah,
Sith.
no, exactly. That's exactly what it's like, and I really, really liked it.
You're not wrong. You're not
Great.
wrong.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. Great example,
just-
Taylor.
I just think about that. Or is Padme. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. We had the school stuff. Angela was just kind of more. We saw more for like being crossed between both worlds as far as people being like, "You haven't been here for a while," and like just calling
Yeah.
her out. That's
I-
gonna be a
and-
common theme.
I liked it too because it just sprinkled some more Iris.
Yeah.
Like you know, like because we're gonna get that big reveal some point. Who this person actually is and her attachment to.
Which I thought her name was
Angela.
Trish, so I was completely wrong.
I know, because you said that last episode. I'm like, that was her name? Okay. I don't remember what it was, but I'm going to believe you. And then here it said Iris.
Unless it's another person that we just don't know about. But
Could
yeah, I
be.
could have been wrong there. And
A
then
lot
we
of girls
also
are
met,
missing.
yeah, and we also met the podcaster, which was as like a negative for me. It was a weird cut when they showed her walking in the snow and they had like this like
Just power
clock.
music going.
Yeah, and then it just kind of like went away. It was like that wasn't needed at all. Like here's the thing, they did it in a way where shit, this is gonna be a big actor. And
This
it's
is
just like,
Angel Batista.
yeah, like no, but even just like someone that like a Clancy Brown, where it's like I know like Clancy Brown got less of an entrance than her, and I'm guessing she's just gonna stir up shit for Dexter because she's gonna be not like letting the Matt thing go and stuff. But yeah, like so they introduced her. It was fine. We'll see where it goes.
Yeah, no, I completely thought the same thing when they introduced her and this music's coming. I'm like, this is going to be someone from like Dexter. And then we see her
Yeah.
face. And I'm like, I don't remember her, but she must have some meaning because they had such an entrance for her. Like basically had the red carpet out and didn't really lead to anything. I know she's going to, like Travis just mentioned, like stir up some shit or something. I don't know. I'm getting like a character from You vibes from her.
Yes.
I feel like she fits that criteria of the characters that are in that show. So I'm excited to see what happens with her, but I just think her entrance was a little overdone.
That's how they're gonna cross them over. I'm telling you, Joe and Dexter. That is a fucking moneymaker. I'm telling you.
Dexter goes to Paris after this.
Yes, Showtime and Netflix. You need to work together and figure out who would not want to watch a season of Dexter trying to catch Joe. Fuck man, that'd be
I'm
so
in.
good. And like Joe has such a record of like, yeah, like this guy definitely deserves the table, 100%. And just the conversations they would have. Fuck yeah, that'd be so. I'm just salivating at the idea. Dexter and Perry. What about you, Tay? Anything final shout out for this episode?
No, not necessarily. The conversations you mentioned of like Joe and Dexter having with each other. You guys know in Sherlock Holmes: The Game of Shadows at the end when they're playing chess and Robert Downey Jr. and then Professor Moriarty are speaking to each other in their minds.
I like that. I like
that would be what would happen.
I like that. Instead of calling it Sherlock and Moriarty, you say Robert Downey Jr. and Moriarty. Is that because, is it because you don't know the actor's name who plays
Nope.
Moriarty? Yeah, there you go. Okay. Yeah, no, it could definitely be like that. It would be a great scenario. It'd be like a very match versus match or like identical to go. But what
Who
would
would you want to
Kirklin?
win?
Dexter. Joe, like both of them deserve to die and be imprisoned, but at least Dexter was trying to do good. Joe's never been like in Joe's mind. He's been trying to do good, but he's constantly taking out many innocent people. Like the second he killed Beck, it's like spoilers for season. It's just like when he had her locked up. I was like, okay, he might eventually let her up. I was like, nah, he's just because all the other people before were like some shit people. And sure, Beck was like she made some mistakes, but she was just a young girl. Like she didn't deserve to fucking kill her and bury her in some leaves and shit. So Dexter's like, and again, Dexter like helped killed LaGuerta, stuff like that. But that was like 7 seasons in the show. Season 1, Joe's already like, hey, you gotta go. It doesn't matter if you're innocent.
Yeah.
You're going. You know. So Dexter kills Joe and then he gets arrested. That's the season right there. And then Harrison and what's his name? Fuck. What was Joe's kid's
Ethan.
name? No, not
Joe's
Ethan.
kid's
Ethan. Yeah, that's what they.
No, that is
40,
the
whatever his name is.
40. What was his real? Was it Henry? It was Henry.
Henry,
Wasn't?
yeah.
Henry. Yeah. No, that's what Henry's actually Ethan. He left there, and that's yeah.
Oh
But
boy.
what about you?
See my
Kirklin?
drawings.
Yeah.
Um,
Anything to shout out?
I don't think so. I don't know. I thought this episode just did a really good job at like building suspense. Whether it was moments of the cops like just revealing something that Dexter didn't plan for, like the dogs coming. A lot of those moments when he was forced to like move the body, I 100% thought Harrison was actually gonna be awake and then like come find him. Like, what you doing, Dad? And didn't happen. So I don't know. I thought it just played really well in the suspense because those are some of the most like intense moments in Dexter. It's just like when he's so close to being caught or something like that. And I thought this episode had a good amount of them. And like I was saying before, it just had a total package of comedy, suspense, and just story reveals, some Ethan drawings, some titties.
Ethan drawings and titties. You know what more can you ask for an episode of Dexter? So, well. We'll be back next week. It is going to be episode 4. I'm very mad they've not released a promo for it yet. I've been looking all the time and no promo whatsoever. But I'm very excited to see where we're going to go. What's up with Kurt? What's up with this billionaire? Now what the fuck is up with Ethan? We got so many players on the board. Let's just hope it doesn't get messy, because that's the only worry I have. That we're introducing so much that I just worry. Like, I know people might be like, oh, well, we still have 7 episodes. Yeah, but that's not a lot when you really think about it. And you still know, like, Trinity's in the show. You know, Dexter and Deborah are going to have some, like, really more big scenes and stuff like that, I'm sure. And we still, like, I think I am starting to realize that I don't think I'm going to get what I want, which is fine of, like, Dexter being arrested and, like, sent back to Miami or something like that. Because I'd love, like I said, Masuka and Batiste, like, all these other characters to find out because they were so vital to the old show. But I think he's going to... meet his demise in Iron Lake. I think that's the route we're going to go. And who knows, maybe Harrison goes back to Miami. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning in this Dexter episode. I keep forgetting to do the opening I want to say tonight's tonight, but I always forget every single week. So we hope you enjoyed this episode and it won't be boring.
Bye bye.
Goodbye.